आपकी मेहनत की कमाई का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा।
मुसलमान वजह के वो ने सुमारो है, मोदी मुसलमान ने मरवारो।
Shocking story has now come from the city of Ahmedabad. Unidentified assailants attacked foreign students at a Gujarat university, and this allegedly over offering namaz prayers in their hostel rooms.
More than 200 million Muslims call India home. But there's a growing anxiety in this massive community, leaving many feeling marginalized as the ruling party rides the Hindu nationalist wave.
When someone want to down your moral, they attack on your religion.
And in the country's only Muslim majority region of Jammu and Kashmir, it's the loss of special autonomy that has residents fearing an uncertain future.
After 2019, I feel like being forced into slavery.
And it's not just India's religious minorities that are having to fight for equal rights. India's queer community is a significant voting bloc, and they're facing a very different battle.
If marriage is allowed for heterosexual people, why not for, non-heterosexual people?
I'm Hannah Joes. Welcome to India Votes 2024.
India is home to about 94% of the world's Hindus, but it is also home to millions of Muslims, Christians, and people from other minority religions.
Over the years, there have been several cases where India's religious minorities, Christians and Muslims have been subjected to violence and discrimination. The Modi government has been accused of ignoring them and also of fostering hostility towards them.
In the Indian capital, New Delhi, a 600-year-old mosque, a madrasa, which is a Muslim religious school, a graveyard, and a home were recently demolished. Today, all that remains is rubble. Indian authorities told Delhi's High Court the structures were illegal encroachments, a claim Muzammil Salmani, who was a teacher at the demolished school, denies. Most students who lived and studied here have been sent back home, we are told.
Some students still call me from their villages and they still cry. They are going through a mental trauma. They always remember the night when the demolition happened.
Muzammil says hate against Muslims has become the new normal in India.
I can give you an example how obvious the hate becomes. Day before yesterday, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi was delivering a speech in a rally, and he was clearly targeting the Muslim community.
और पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है। इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे? जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे हैं उनको बांटेंगे।
So if the PM says anything like this, you can have idea how the hate is being promoted. When someone want to down your moral, they attack on your religious places.
For this community in Delhi, it has been a continuous struggle.
My elder sister, Uzma, 38 years old, sister died just day before yesterday. And I was not able to find a place to bury her. After roaming for hours.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
There was a time when we have a lot of space. We call the people from different colonies. People come here to bury their relatives, their family members. But I did not have place to bury my sister just 2 days back.
The mosque's Imam, Zakir Hussain, says authorities didn't even wait for him to retrieve the Quran before they proceeded to demolish it.
जबकि कुरान शरीफ इतनी अहम किताब है कि अपने से ज़्यादा हम जो कुरान शरीफ की इज़्ज़त और कदर करते हैं, तो कुरान शरीफ निकालने का हमें मौका नहीं दिया। कुरान शरीफ वगैरह सब जो है मलबे के नीचे दबी हुई है कुरान शरीफ। उनका कुछ जो भी मुफाद है वो उनका अपना मुफाद है। एक अलग से एक मुसलमान तबका को जो दिल को ठोस पहुंचाना, उनको कमज़ोर करना, उनको परेशान करना, उनकी एक अपनी वो मुहिम जो चल रही है, वो तो अब इससे पहले कई मस्जिद से जो हो उन्होंने शहीद करी है।
हाँ जी
चल ही रहा है।
Despite the demolition of their place of worship, Zakir continues to visit the site daily.
हादसे के बाद भी मैं रोजाना आता हूँ।
अच्छा
जी।
क्यों आते हैं यहाँ पे रोज?
बस लगाव है, जब तक मैं यहाँ आता नहीं हूँ, यहाँ बैठ नहीं जाता, जब तक मुझे सुकून नहीं मिलता। यहाँ बैठ जाता हूँ, थोड़ी देर देख लेता हूँ, देख के थोड़ा दिल को जो सुकून मिलता है। जो हो गए सो हो गए, वो तो भूला नहीं जाता।
Not far from this community is where Nehla lives. She is a student at Delhi University who aspires to be a journalist. She shares that discrimination against the community comes in all forms and impacts them in the most visceral ways.
Whenever we go for a house, the first question we get to ask is, are you Mohammedan? Are you Muslim? Like many landowners, many brokers are hesitant to give us flats without any reasons, and we'll all get flats if we eat non-veg. Like there are some flats where a non-Hindu or like Muslim friends should also not come over.
Nehla and her friends looked at 11 places before they finally found a place to rent. On campus grounds too, she has sensed unease. Nehla says she feels isolated as a Muslim hijabi woman.
I've never thought such kind of discrimination that I'll face in Delhi University. I thought it would be a cakewalk, coming to the EU, getting into societies, making a lot of friends. But that was not the story when I came to the EU. I was isolated first before I made my own community.
A recent report by the India Hate Lab, a Washington DC based research group, documented 668 hate speeches targeting Muslims in India. Of this, a staggering 75% took place in the BJP ruled states. Many have accused the BJP of promoting religious division and empowering hostility towards India's Muslims.
भारत को हिंदू राष्ट्र बनाना है ना। हमारे बिटिया बहन महिलाओं के तरफ अगर अखियां उठाई हैं तो उनके यहाँ खतना होला तनी भरम पूरा खतनवा करवाए पाकिस्तान में।
It feels like someone is dominating here. A group, a particular religion, a particular community is dominating here. And it don't feel like our nation.
Right.
We no more feel safe here. Like, while seeing this orange flags, I feel a sense of domination of a particular community, where others are not being able to express their identity.
According to the United Christian Forum, violence against Christians too has surged in the last decade, indicating that it is not only Muslims facing threats in India.
The music you can hear from behind me is from the Sunday prayers of a local Christian group in New Delhi. However, many Sundays ago, the pastor of this group claims that their prayer meeting was waylaid by a Hindu nationalist mob. Their property was vandalized and they were assaulted.
और जब नारों की आवाज़ आई तो बहुत तेज़ी से आवाज़ आनी शुरू हो गई। जब आवाज़ आई तो जय सिया राम के नारे लग रहे थे और हिंदू राष्ट्र हमारा है। चर्च की बहनों को मारा, इवन रोड से मारा और चर्च के भाइयों को मारा और बहुत बुरी तरीके से मारा। इवन यीशु मसीह की तस्वीर 12 चेलों की लगी हुई थी।
One person was arrested after Bhati filed a police case. He says the incident has left him scared.
जब हमारे ऊपर ये अटैक हुआ तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब बड़ा डिप्रेशन में चला गया उस दौरान।
अच्छा।
डिप्रेशन में ये कि जितने भी चर्च में लोग आ रहे थे वो सब छोड़ के चले गए मुझे। बात ये थी कि डर के मारे।
He says it has become a constant struggle for minority communities in India.
चुनौतियां हैं। मसीह जीवन, क्रिश्चियनों का जीवन आसान नहीं है। आज के समय में तो यही है। आज के समय में आप आज़ादी से नहीं रह सकते।
Journalist and author Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay says the BJP stands to gain electorally when they divide the communities.
Between 2014 and 2019, the BJP practiced a lot of Hindu majoritarian programs and policies. Their fringe elements of the Hindu Nationalist Brigade, they mounted attacks on religious minorities, the Muslims and the Christians. There were vigilante groups. It resulted in an increase of 6% vote share.
Right.
From 282 seats in parliament, they went up to 303 seats in parliament.
The BJP has consistently denied all allegations of intolerance, violence, and harassment of religious minorities. They maintain that the uniform implementation of welfare schemes under the Modi government has erased the lines of discrimination among minorities and other communities.
कास्ट, क्रीड, रिलीजन, जेंडर, किसी भी भेदभाव को वहां जगह नहीं होती है।
Nehla and Bhati are not convinced. They feel the growing influence of Hindu nationalism in India has raised concerns for the safety and rights of religious minorities. As Modi seeks a third term in office, they both fear things will get worse.
Prime Minister is for everyone of the nation, irrespective of caste, creed, and gender.
Right.
So, a Prime Minister should work for the development, for the welfare of everyone.
Do you think that's happening?
No. Forget about the welfare. We are being questioned about our citizenship, our nationality.
अब हमारे घर में आके कोई घुस के ये बोलता है कि हिंदू राष्ट्र हमारा है, तो हम कहाँ जाएं?
Srinagar, the biggest city in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, was one of the first stops for the Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he got his election campaign going for India's general elections. There was heavy security presence in the city that has been closely monitored for decades. Police and soldiers patrolled the streets and carried out spot checks before the Prime Minister made his pitch to voters.
जम्मू कश्मीर केवल एक क्षेत्र नहीं है, ये जम्मू कश्मीर भारत का मस्तक।
5 years ago, soon after winning the 2019 elections, Prime Minister Modi and his government drastically altered the fate and future of Kashmiris.
And history was created in the state of Jammu and Kashmir as the Modi government implemented its biggest move in a way on the Kashmir issue. After days of furious speculation and build-up, Home Minister Amit Shah arrived this morning to Parliament and told Parliament that he was revoking Article 370.
So what's changed since then? And how will Kashmiris be voting this general elections? Let's first take a look at how we got to this point.
On the 5th of August 2019, the Indian government, aided by a presidential decree, repealed Article 370 from the country's constitution. So what was Article 370? Article 370 conferred special rights to Jammu and Kashmir. It granted autonomy to the region to allow them to make their own laws in all matters except finance, defense, foreign affairs and communications. They also established a separate constitution and a separate flag and denied property rights to anyone who was from outside the region. In August 2019, the Modi government repealed this act and split Kashmir into two regions, Jammu and Kashmir in the west and Ladakh in the east, to be ruled directly from New Delhi.
The abrogation meant that the region no longer had its own flag, constitution and criminal code.
The BJP-led government believed the special autonomy had hampered development in a region that has endured decades of violence.
देश के सामने 70 साल से एक और बड़ा चैलेंज था, जिसे कुछ दिन पहले भारत ने फेयरवेल दे दिया है।
Abolishing Article 370 was a key promise Narendra Modi made ahead of his second election win in 2019. It was an easy one to keep, thanks to a clear majority in both houses of parliament. Last December, the constitutional change was upheld by India's Supreme Court.
Today, the Honorable Supreme Court has cleared all the confusion, and it has clearly said that Jammu and Kashmir is integral part of India.
The highest court of justice in India has set aside everything, has set aside the constitution, democracy, rule of law. They have favored the majoritarianism. They have favored Modi and Amit Shah.
Removal of Article 370 means that now non-Kashmiris are permitted to buy land in the valley. Many in the region have voiced concerns that this is an attempt at demographic change in India's only Muslim majority region.
It has also had a big impact on local politicians in Kashmir, including former cabinet minister Agha Saeed Rula Mehdi.
After 2019, I feel like being forced into slavery. I feel like forced into an idea I do not resonate with.
Since the removal of Article 370, the BJP hopes to gain a foothold in the valley in this election. But how does Kashmir feel about these elections?
The central government, present dispensation in Delhi, that has been the worst. Repressive, denying the non-Muslim majority state in India right to exist as a state, then complete denial of electoral elected form of government. So maybe in reaction they vote just to go for lesser evils, which may be local parties.
It is a humiliation. If it's a fair and free poll, I think people this time are wanting to come out to vote and send a message to the BJP.
परे साहब, मैं पूछूं आपसे, आपको इन इलेक्शन से क्या उम्मीद है? आप क्या सोचते हैं जम्मू कश्मीर क्या चाहता है अब इलेक्शंस के रूप में?
इलेक्शन के मुतालिक हम यही सोचते हैं कि इंसान ये जो इलेक्शन है पिछले बहुत साल से यहाँ नहीं हुआ है, अब लोगों की यही उम्मीदें हैं कि अब यहाँ इलेक्शन होना चाहिए। हाँ, उनकी उम्मीद भी यही है, लोगों की उम्मीद यही है कि इलेक्शन से ये जो बदलाव आएगा तो उनको नौकरियाँ मिलेंगी, यहाँ डेवलप हो जाएगी, तो ये लोगों का मैनिफेस्टो है।
Alongside its mosques, mausoleums and Islamic shrines, Kashmir is also home to a variety of Hindu temples which serve as a marker to its Hindu population. The region is home to a comparatively smaller Hindu community that is referred to as Kashmiri Pandits. They were forced to leave the region amid escalating violence against them in the 1990s. Sanjay Tikku runs the Kashmiri Pandit Sangharsh Samiti, a body of Kashmiri Pandits that did not leave the region in the 1990s.
I am living in the valley for the last 32 years. I have gone through the worst terrorism period in the valley. And we stayed back in the valley despite of that, along with other 808 families. But unfortunately, the government, present government, I don't think is now very much keen about the KP's rehabilitation back in the valley. They say that 30,000 Kashmiri Pandits have been rehabilitated back in the valley after 2019, after application of Article 3, which is totally lie, what you call the white lie.
Political scientist Noor Ahmed Baba says he expects a higher voter turnout in this election.
There's a degree of polarization. So in that sense, I feel that this time, people will be coming out to vote in larger numbers.
Voting has been organized in 5 phases throughout the Union Territory. Kashmiri politician Agha Rula Mehdi says the voter turnout and the results will ultimately reveal the faith people have here in the government.
It's a catch-22 situation for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, so to say. Needs to be seen, and this parliament election will answer that question. On one hand, you have this sense of betrayal. You do not have the trust in the functioning of the democracy, in the institutions of the democracy, that gradual and ultimate decline of the idea of democracy in Jammu and Kashmir.
This general election won't be the only one that Kashmiris will be voting in this year. The Supreme Court of India has also mandated that Kashmir's local election be held before September this year.
And that will be another chance for Kashmiris to have a say over a region that's hoping for peace against the backdrop of an uncertain future.
Five years ago, a landmark decision was made.
India is one today, equal in love.
Apex Court has delivered its verdict on petitions challenging the validity of gay sex.
As the youth of tomorrow, we need to be who we are. We cannot be somebody else.
for the law. It was a huge victory for India's LGBTQI+ community. But 5 years on, have things changed for the better?
Estimates on LGBTQI+ population vary. According to the Indian government, there are about 2.5 million Indians who identify themselves as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. Though LGBTQI+ rights organizations estimate the figure could be as high as 135 million.
As India heads to the polls, the question is, will the parliament and its members uphold the rights of India's sexual minorities and take a big step to say yes to same-sex marriage?
Ashish and Inder have been in a relationship for 12 years and lived through a time when just being together was illegal.
Back then, even Section 377 was in our lives. I mean, back then we were criminals. So at that point in time, we had no support from the judicial system.
There was a little to no political opposition. Officially, the ruling BJP took a neutral stance on the Supreme Court's verdict. For Ashish and Inder, it meant they felt safer.
Then we were still scared and everything. Now we are so comfortable. Like, you know, the way things are going.
But last year, the community faced another setback. The Supreme Court ruled against legalizing same-sex marriage in a major blow to India's LGBTQI+ community.
India's Supreme Court has made a precedent-setting ruling on same-sex marriage.
India's Supreme Court has ruled against legalizing same-sex marriage.
The Supreme Court said the matter of marriage equality should be decided by the parliament. The BJP-led government successfully challenged the same-sex marriage case in the Supreme Court, arguing that marriage must be between a biological man and woman, that only Parliament has the right to decide on the institution of marriage, and there could even be detrimental impacts on children raised by homosexual couples.
It was disheartening.
Towards the end, it was completely
It changed drastically. The first two judges, they were very pro, and then just went down a little.
But they are not alone in their struggle.
I personally did not see it coming. I thought that at least they will go to, civil partnership sort of a thing.
Sakshi and Naina have been together for 4 years, and like Ashish and Inder, were disappointed with the same-sex marriage ruling. For them, there is little point in waiting for politicians to give the LGBTQI+ community the rights they are seeking.
We've seen and experienced over the years of how easy it is for various political parties to take up issue as and when convenient to them, but how much do they deliver? And on a larger scale, it's still non-existent.
Their disillusionment with the political system and process is common. As I visit Varisha and her partner Shreya,
for them, we are vote banks.
Varisha and Shreya have been together for 3 years. They are equally disenchanted by the government in power and believe the political process is failing them in the wake of the same-sex verdict.
They fought against it. The government was fighting against the verdict. Nobody, they were the one who opposed it, right?
As the three couples struggle to have their unions legalized, how will they be voting in this election?
And it's just not both of us. Our entire family, our entire support system, our friends and allies, everybody will support the political group who supports us,
For me, it's more about the hygiene of that party. No one is clean, then you pick the lesser evil. Again, with the hope that, at least they will move something.
I really would not want to vote this government in power, personally.
100%. There is no way in
I would
hell.
want to do that. Because of the harm that they are doing, not just for the community, but there are so many other communities that they are harming.
The rights provided to India's transgender community offers hope. 10 years ago, a landmark court ruling recognized transgender as a third separate identity, and that Indians have the right to choose their gender.
I think the ayes have it, the bill is passed.
It's meant to ban discrimination against transgender people.
But this law also requires trans Indians to register themselves with the government if they wish to be officially recognized as transgender.
And they are only allowed to get married as long as it's a heterosexual union. This drew strong opposition from the trans community.
As India continues to change socially, what does the future look like?
I spent a day with two members of Swikar, the Rainbow Parents. It's a group formed by parents of Indian LGBTQI+ children with the aim of supporting and accepting their child's sexual orientation. Founding member Aruna Desai is the mother of Abhishek Desai, who identifies as a gay person. Supriya Gosavi works at a trans shelter home and is a proud mother of trans woman Nishtha Nishant.
My son came out in 2007 when he was 17 years old. So I just asked him, your friend is gay, are you also gay? He just got up and came and hugged me and started crying and started asking me, Mama, do you still love me? Are you ashamed of it? Do you hate me now? I was like, no, I love you even more now.
It was a different story for Supriya, who struggled at first to comprehend her son wanting to be a woman.
मग स्वीकार ग्रुपला सांगितलं माझी स्टोरी, त्यांनी ऐकून घेतलं. त्यांच्या म्हणजे बरेच पेरेंट्स होते, अरुणाताई तर होत्याच इथे, मग त्यांनी त्यांचे अनुभव सांगितले. मग कुठे जाऊन असं मला वाटलं की नाही, मी चूक करते काहीतरी. म्हणजे माझ्या मुलाला मी ओळखलं नाही आहे, त्याची आयडेंटिफाय मी नाही ओळखले. मी ऐकलं वगैरे सगळं, खूप रडली मी तेव्हा. मग नंतर मी घरी आली आणि असं वाटलं की नाही, मी फार मोठी चूक करत होती. मग मी त्याला हक करून वगैरे थोडंसं हे केलं. मग नंतर झालंय, मग थोडं हळूहळू मग बदल होत गेले सगळ्या गोष्टीमध्ये. मग मी त्याला ॲक्सेप्ट केलं वगैरे.
These mothers are calling on India's political leaders to give their children and others like them the fundamental rights to something that's long been sacred in Indian society.
If marriage is allowed for heterosexual people, why not for, non-heterosexual people?
From the queer couples to the parents, all are asking for basic human rights. But are politicians listening? As this general election rolls on, there is little to suggest any significant change. But one thing is common for everyone in this story, that they will never give up the fight.
I have come with a positive attitude throughout my life, and I will still keep the same. I say, okay, yes, we need that, and it will happen.
I no longer want it to be just marriage, just adoption, just insurance and just bank account. I want everything that is offered to a law-abiding citizen of this country.
And why shouldn't I get married? Like if I want to, I'm literally a wedding photographer. Like that's my profession. Girl, you know how many queers are going to come dressed as themselves for my wedding?
And that's a wrap for this week's episode of India Votes 2024. Next week, we'll deep dive into the state of the Indian economy and how it's shaping this election. After that, we'll head to Mumbai's Dharavi, one of the biggest slums in the country, to see how its residents will be voting. I'm Hannah Joes. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next week.